And Sandra, let's now bring in Senator Shelley Capito of West Virginia. She is the top Republican on the Homeland Security and Appropriations Subcommittee, which oversees funding for FEMA, Customs, Border Protection, and ICE. Senator, we're going to spend a good amount of time with you, so we'll get to the letter on the border wall in just a couple of minutes. But first, I wanted to ask you about the message that the White House is sending. On Good Morning America today, President Biden was asked if he needed to send a clearer message to people in those Northern Triangle countries about not coming to the United States. Here's what he said.
I can say quite clearly, don't come. And what we're in the process of getting set up, and it's not going to take a whole long time, is to be able to apply for asylum in place. So don't leave your town or city or community.
You know, this morning, Congressman Dan Crenshaw accused the president of gaslighting, saying basically, you know, wink, wink, if you come here, we're going to give you a bus ticket wherever you want. We're not going to deport you. Wink, don't come. You deconstruct that statement for us, Senator. What do you think about what the president said?
Well, I have to go back to the president's original statements when he first became president, and that was, we're not going to turn anybody away for the first 100 days. Well, that message obviously has been received, and that is the pull into our country by these traffickers and coyotes for these younger people. So the president, I thought he sounded very weak when he said, don't come, but we're going to provide for you later. I said, I think deterrence is a strategy, and I think a strong border deterrence will absolutely disrupt the numbers that are coming across and disrupt this trafficking that we see. It's really very tragic.
You know, Senator, there's got to be a lot of growing frustration among you and your colleagues for the lack of transparency, the lack of questions that this president is taking on this. His administration still hasn't even called this a crisis, although they clearly see an emergency sending FEMA in there. So why not? Why are we not seeing the urgency on the part of this administration when we see the images we are right now and continue to see?
Well, I can tell you what, the American people are a lot smarter than this. They know what's going on. They see the numbers. They see the images. Maybe we don't see all images, and I do believe transparency is the best pathway forward to getting good policy and to being honest with the American people. This is a crisis. But, you know, if you want to get hung up in semantics, why are you sending FEMA down there, which is an emergency agency? So I think the administration would be better to use the terminologies that everybody understands. It's a border crisis, and that we need to fix this problem with deterrence, with better policies, and without this open door policy to where you're telling people don't come, but then at the same time you're going, well, I didn't really mean that. And so I think it's obviously the policies they have in place at the border are encouraging people, and that's what we see.
Senator, stay with us there in the Russell Rotunda. Lots to talk about, including one of the major issues at the border. It's the wall. Casey Stegall has got more for us live in Mission, Texas about all of that. Casey?
Yeah, John, first some context for you. The entire southern border that we share with Mexico is nearly 2,000 miles long, and Customs and Border Protection figures show that there are about 776 miles of barriers protecting the border. But as you can see right back here behind me, this is the Rio Grande River, and this is the international boundary in this part of Texas, and you clearly can't build a wall or a structure through here, so it varies greatly depending on geographic location. Back in 2017, $15 billion we know was identified to construct a total of 738 additional miles of new wall systems. But as the beginning of January 2021, only about 458 miles had been completed. And now, as we know, construction is suspended due to that proclamation signed by President Biden, as the president's own DHS secretary describes the challenges they're now facing.
The situation is undoubtedly difficult. We are working around the clock to manage it, and it will take time. But we will not waver in our commitment to succeed. That is our job.
And apprehensions, meantime, continue to go up. On Monday, in this one sector where we are, the Rio Grande Valley, some 282 unaccompanied minors were apprehended just in that one 24-hour period. Some 282 kids traveling alone. John?
Casey Stegall for us in Mission, Texas, near McAllen. Casey, thanks so much. Let's go back to Senator Shelley Capito now, who's still with us. And Senator Capito, if you could tell us about this letter that you and many of your Republican colleagues have sent regarding Joe Biden's initial first day effort to try to scale back the security at the border by stopping construction of the wall.
Right. Well, thank you for asking, because we think this is exceedingly important. 39 plus me colleagues, Republican colleagues, have written to the GAO to ask them determination of the legality of what the president has done by suspending construction dollars for the wall. We passed, as a Congress, a $1.275 billion wall construction funding in the 2021 appropriations cycle. That is the will of Congress, the will of the people. And so that's a border system, too. That's not just fencing. That's all of the innovations that we have to try to disrupt the flow. A lot of this is replacement wall as well. So the replacement walls come down. The president issues the order to say stop, and now we have all these incomplete projects. We also have more people flooding across. We have walls up with no gates. It's an untenable situation. Plus, we don't have the technology moving forward that could really help the wall situation become much bigger, greater, and much more sophisticated in terms of detecting folks that are coming in.
Senator, speaking of the wall, former President Trump was on Fox News Prime Time last night. He is suggesting that based on what he's seeing and the messaging from this current administration, that situation at the border, he says, is only going to get worse. Listen.
They're destroying our country. People are coming in by the hundreds of thousands. Young children are coming in, and they leave their homes and they come up because they think it's going to be so wonderful. And frankly, our country can't handle it. It is a crisis like we've rarely had, and certainly we've never had on the border. But it's going to get much worse. I mean, what you're seeing now is very bad, record numbers, but it's going to get much, much worse.
Do you expect, Senator, the Biden administration to step up, as Governor Abbott just called on the administration to do, based on the growing pressure that they are hearing? We know he's going to be holding now this announced news conference next Thursday. But will he step up? I mean, he just said the other day he's doesn't even have plans to visit the southern border.
Well, I think all indications are no. The only way they're stepping up is to expand the amount of shelters that the children can go to. The existing shelters are at 200 and 300 and 400% capacity. That's an unsafe, untenable, and outrageous situation as they see right now. So if you start building more shelters, more people are going to come. And we're also hitting peak season. We know as we look at these numbers from year to year, once you hit spring into early summer, the numbers always go up. So I expect them to go up even exponentially, especially when the open arms of the Biden administration are saying, come on in, and then we'll send you on a bus and you can, have a place to stay here in our country.
Senator, you mentioned a couple of moments ago the message that the Biden administration was sending after the election and before the inauguration. Let's take that back even further to a message that Joe Biden was sending during the very first Democratic presidential debate. And I'm wondering if, taken in total, this is sending a message to people in these Northern Triangle countries and other corners of the globe that the United States and a Biden administration would be open for illegal immigration. Here is what Joe Biden said in that first presidential primary debate. Listen here.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
You should come. That seems to be a pretty consistent message.
It is definitely, and it's being heard all in the Northern Triangle countries and all throughout Mexico. You know, there was a system where we would have, you would stay in place in Mexico while your asylum was being heard. That was upended. Title 42, which was keeping adults out because of the pandemic, that was upended for the children. That's why you see more children coming. I mean, I think the message here from the administration is come on in. I'm a compassionate person myself as well. I hate to see these children put in this situation, trafficked all the way through other countries. Who knows what they're going through? And let's talk about what this is doing to the illegal drug trafficking that's coming across our border as well. That hits every state very, very hard.
So Governor Abbott said just a short time ago that he does believe eventually the Biden team will step up. They will address the child trafficking angle to this. If they fail to do so, he said, they are failing children. What is your message when you look at the dire humanitarian crisis as Governor Abbott described it? I mean, what is it going to take, do you believe, for the Biden administration to finally step up?
Well, I think that we're reaching that point right now. I think I'm planning to go to the border on Friday to get a look myself in the El Paso region. I look forward to seeing that. But I do think that we're going to get to a combustible point where Republicans and Democrats are going to tell the administration this has got to stop. And you've got to find a better way to solve this problem. And the one way to do it is to say, no, you're not going to be able to get in. Tell the traffickers it's not going to be successful. Tell the other countries we're going to help you do asylum claims in your country if you want to come to this country because you're oppressed. We understand that, but this has got to stop. This is very, very outrageous.
Senator Capito, one of the things that Governor Abbott was asking for was for the federal government to give his investigators access to that Dallas Convention Center where many of these minors, some 3,000, are being held. Is there something you and your fellow senators can do to put pressure on the federal government to allow access?
Well, you know what? I mean, I've had FEMA shelters constructed in my own state when we've had a massive flood. I have free and open access to go in and talk to anybody who's been in there to spend the night. Why wouldn't you have that at the Dallas Convention Center? Why wouldn't, if you're conducting your policies the way that are humane and treating children the way they should be treated, which is what we all wanted, why wouldn't you let people in? I mean, yes, they should be allowed to go in. I don't see that I think the more you try the high, the more suspicious and the more the tensions become very, very untenable.
Senator, appreciate you joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Good to see you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.